Ooh, dude, your butthole must be absolutely terrified of the future, I'm guessing right now. Well, aloha, everybody.
Good day.
Good
Cheers.
day. Good day, sir, up there. Mm, mm. And welcome to this episode of Experts and Idiots with my dear boy you can see up there just above me, lovely Michael. Hello, Michael.
Good day. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Michael, all the way over there in Canada with a jolly good glass of whiskey. Michael, what are you drinking? What's the whiskey?
This is actually a Johnny Walker Blue. It's a blended Scotch. It's not a single malt. I'll be switching to the single malts in a second, but I wanted to start with, something a little high end. So we'll move on from the blends to the single malts after this little wee dram is finished.
Jolly good too. Now, boys and girls, I know it's not normal to see us sucking down whiskey at the beginning of these episodes, but today we have a burny journey through the world of whiskey with our expert whiskey nister. You can see up here, the lovely Michael. We're going to try our best. Oh, there we are. Whiskey nister hat is on. We're going to try our best to pick this lovely boy's brain and learn a little bit about the world of whiskey. Oh, yes. And whilst I am doing little hits of my whiskey, our boy Michael up there is going to be doing hits of hot sauce. We're going to see if this expert can give us his expert information whilst burning the fuck up. Michael, tell them a little bit who you are, sir.
My name is Michael Corvese. I live in Toronto, Canada. I own a company with my wife called Purple Tongue Hot Sauce. We started the company December 2020 through basically having a lot of time. December 2020, we started the company. I've been making hot sauces at home for years, but it was one of those things where during downtime of COVID, we had a family business that was shut down for a bit. Well, it's still kind of shut down. And during that time, I made some hot sauces. Some friends wanted some. And one thing led to another. Next thing you know, I'm making 6. And I've now got 8 sauces on the go with some hot maple syrups. And we're a year and a half into this thing. And, I'm loving it. We're doing pretty well. So growing by the month. So I'm just going to have a little shot of hot sauce, if you don't mind. This is from a friend, Eric Begg from Soy Sauce. This is Cherry Noble. This is his 5-star hot. So I'm just going to down some of that with you.
Nah, that's some extreme stuff right there. Oh, gosh. Okay. And the boys kicking off and running already. Kicking off and running already. Is that your only weapon of choice this evening, or do you have other delicious hot sauces you're going to be working through?
I do. First one is Cherry Noble. The next one I've got is from another friend, Heiko, and that's his Devil's Brew. The third one I've chosen is another friend, Jeff Davis from Island Sun. That's his Triple R, which is Rosy Red Rectum, which after this interview, I'm sure I'll have. So I've chosen those 3, but I've also thrown into the mix, none that's going to be as hot, but my own mango. My mango is my 5-star hot. So I'm going to be finishing it off with the mango.
Boys and girls, as I said, my dear boy up there, over there, all the way in Toronto, is planning to do a little hit of hot sauce every time I do a little hit of this lovely whiskey. Let's take a dive into the world of whiskey. Weapons are ready. Cheers.
Oh, this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough.
So what is whiskey made of, my dear boy?
Whiskey is made out of essentially 3 things: water, barley, and I believe yeast. I think is that what it is. Um, those are the three components basically that make up what a whiskey is. And there's a process that goes into how we go from water and barley to a finished bottle of, say, Lagavulin.
So whiskey, before we get to the processing, just the word, does it have a meaning? Where does it come from, the word?
I believe the word is a Gaelic word for water. I believe it originated from the term, from the word water. So it's basically I guess that's the main ingredient in it that makes it as good as it is, because without the water, you got nothing.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to do a little more.
I love it.
I'm a glutton for punishment.
Mm. So whiskey means water in Gaelic. Okay, I had no idea about that. So, all right then. So what do we have to do with these three ingredients? How do we get whiskey? What's the process?
So there's five ways to do it. The first one is the malting. If I got my steps correctly, the malting is where you basically put the barley in water and let it get to a fermenting stage. Sorry, a germination stage. It's a little hot here. Once it's at the germination stage, they stop it and they dry it out. And from that point, they then put it into a mashing stage, where they put it in water and they boil it in water and let it sit for like 2 or 3 days. And at that point, some sugars start to develop from the barley, and those come out. The next stage would be the fermentation stage, where they take all of that sugary water and they add yeast to it, and they put it in these big ass vats or kegs or casks or whatever you want to call them, 10 foot high, 20 foot high. And they add yeast to that. Ugh. Jeff, you need to make a less thicker sauce. I'm going to be dying at the end of it.
Holding yourself together very well, Mr. Whiskey Nister.
That's some hot stuff.
Oy vey.
So from the fermentation, by adding the yeast, you're going to get to what is kind of like a cloudy, milky beer, for lack of a better term. Okay. It ends up being really, really cloudy. And you can make beer from that, but the way to make beer is through brewing. The way to make whiskey is through distillation. So they take that sugary water fermented with the yeast, and then they put it into a distillation process where I believe it is boiled to a certain degree, and the evaporations are what evaporates out of all that then gets distilled through their little process and their little distilling vats, and then they end up kegging or casking the leftover. So what they've built up with all the watery whiskey at that, well, it's not whiskey yet, but whatever they've collected through the distillation process, they then put into casks and let sit for Lagavulin, for instance. This is a 16-year single malt. So that would be sitting in a cask for 16 years in, I guess, their little cellars or their darkened, cool places. And 16 years later, they will tap that bad boy open and enjoy what they've got left over.
And that's a single malt whiskey we can see there, correct?
Yes, correct.
What gives it a smoky flavor like that?
It's the peat. The peat that they use. Basically, it's the earth, as you would say in Scotland. They would wherever they can find some nice peat. So the island of Islay is a great exporter, I believe, of peat for Scotland. Yeah. So that peat they will then burn in the initial stages with the barley, and they'll essentially smoke out the seed, the barley seed. So it's got a lot more of a smokier flavor to it when it goes into the sugaring process. So the longer you peat something, or the more smokiness you give to it, the more smokiness is going to end up in the final result of the single malt whiskey. The Lagavulin, for instance, is a very heavy peaty single malt whiskey. So if you like things on the heavier side, that's a go-to. If you don't like the smoky, feel like you've just eaten a piece of charcoal, then I would not recommend Lagavulin. I would go something on the lighter end, where like the Glenfiddich or the Macallans, they have more on the cleaner, softer side.
If one's dealing with a good quality whiskey like that, now I have a feeling I'm drinking this whiskey out of the wrong glass, is what my feeling is. I feel like I'm committing sacrilege. What's the correct way for someone to drink their whiskey?
Oh, that's not good. The best way to drink a whiskey would be to drink it in one of these Glencairn glasses.
Okay. Why is
The
that
nice
glass
little-
particularly better?
Well, it's supposed to trap the flavors in and create the aromas that you want when you smell it. So I believe this little fatter belly in this area here helps create the aromas near the top. So you get in there, you smell it, and then you taste it.
Oh, yeah.
You could also throw it in one of these old-fashioned glasses, but they don't look as good. So don't do that. Get one of these.
That sounds like a plan, Batman. Cheers. Excuse me.
I'm just going to add a little bit more hot sauce into the mix here.
I'm loving it.
This is the Devil's Brew.
Oh,
These
from
guys
young
think things are hot.
Heiko.
Come on.
Young Heiko Kriegersman, a giant
He ain't so big.
of the hot sauce world.
Three of me could
Compared to me,
take him
most
on.
people are.
Maybe four of me could take him on, but definitely not me, Brian. Sláinte.
So let's let the people know, my Whiskey Nista friend. Wow, I can't believe you're managing to get information out. It's astonishing. So
I'm trying here.
you're doing a good job, sir. If people are going to go and try whiskeys, as a little ending point for our lovely people here today. So what whiskeys would you recommend? Let's say if they're going to try 3 of them, where should they go? What should they try?
Well, most definitely, I would highly recommend the Lagavulin. I'm going to add my little mango into the mix here and see where it stacks up heat-wise. I don't think it's going to be as hot, which is probably a good thing at this point. And that's a mix of all 4 of these different sauces.
Ooh, hardcore.
Oh, that's
Ooh,
a good one. Balvenie, 21-year portwood cask. Extra matured in port casks. Very, very unknown. This is one of the best single malts you could ever have. I hope I do this justice. I believe the name is Bunnahabhain.
Well, boys and girls, the Whiskey Nista has spoken, and respect to the Whiskey Nista, young Michael up there, because of that's a lot of goddamn hot stuff you just put down, my friend. I'm astonished. Ladies and gentlemen, myself and our Whiskey Nista friend will say ciao to you for now. And don't forget, eat a little hot sauce, drink a lot of whiskey.
Absolutely.
Cheers, everybody. Ciao. Ouch.